and less impact on our body. And the way we do that is by jumping out. Because if you still jump, you still have a timid jump, and then you go straight down, all that force is still going into your body. If you do a roll, it might help a little bit, but really, there's nowhere to distribute all that downward force. You can't distribute it across a roll that well. So what we want to do is jump out. The downward force will then be distributed long ways across our roll. Okay, so I hope that explains kind of the physics behind it. And now let's go into the steps of showing you how to do the roll. Alright, so unfortunately it's raining outside, but it's really not that big of a deal. As long as you have an open area with soft ground, you can still work on your roll. Okay, first I want to go over a few key points to remember when doing the roll. And the first thing is, you always want to have your legs about shoulder width apart and parallel with each other when you're doing high impact drops. Because you want your body to act with its natural movements, and when you don't do this, when you have them too wide or you have them split, you're putting too much pressure on certain joints and certain muscles, and this will lead to injury. Okay, the second point I want to talk about is you want to always land on the balls of your feet. You never want to land on the heels, because when you land on the heels, your body will act like a board, a stiff board, and all that pressure, momentum will go into your back and into your body. When you land on your balls of your feet, your body will act like a spring and absorb that momentum and then transfer it. Third key point is that we're always rolling diagonally across our back from one shoulder to the opposite hip. That way we avoid hitting our head, and we also avoid rolling over our spine. Another key point, the fourth key point, is that you never want your legs to go below 90 degrees. When they go below 90 degrees, you're absorbing too much with your body, and you won't have enough room to perform the roll, and also you're putting too much pressure on your knee joints. So for the first step of the parkour roll, we're just going to be going over the motion. And there are 4 ways you can do this. There's the tabletop, the arm thread, the split leg, and the Ryan doorway. These are all different ways you can build into the form. So just try each of them out and find the one that's easiest for you. Okay, so now we're on to the fun stuff. This is where I'm actually going to show you the steps into the roll. There's a few different ways you can start off. The way I started off is I was in what they call tabletop position. That means my knees were on the ground and my hands were placed on the ground. So, sideways view. Okay, so from the tabletop position, the way I learned is what you want to do with your hands is make a diamond on the opposite side of the shoulder you're tucking in. So I like to roll over my right shoulder. So I'm going to make a diamond with my hands and place it to the left side of my body, or the left side. And then what you'll do is you'll slowly bend this arm down. You'll collapse your right arm to the right elbow, like so. And as you do that, you're then going to move it inside, like this. And then you'll roll over the top of your right shoulder. Now you don't want to slam your shoulder into the ground. You want to tuck it in so you roll over the top of it. So hand and diamond, place on the ground, drop that elbow, move your arm under, and kick over. And as you kick over, your left leg will be tucked as well as your right leg when you're tucking and rolling. And as you come out, you're going to roll over your left hip, as I said before, and your left leg's going to stay bent, and your right leg is the one that's going to come around and plant so you can push off and get up. Now when you have more momentum, you'll automatically get up into a run when done properly. But for right now, you just want to work on getting the form down. Okay, the next form of the parkour roll that you can start off with is doing the exact same position. You're on a tabletop, And this is just easier for people who are having problems with that motion. It really gets your body coordinated in rolling diagonally over your back. And an easy way to do that is, instead of making a diamond, you'll just take your right arm and you're going to put it in between your armpit, right here. Then kick up, land on the left leg bent, right leg is here to support, and then push up. Now another way you can start off is you can have one knee up, like this, and you'd have the leg up on the same shoulder that you're going to be tucking in. So if you like to roll over your right shoulder, you can have your right knee up. If you like rolling over your left shoulder, have your left knee up. He's the only person I've really seen teach it this way. But what you do is you're going to grab the inside of your foot. So you're in this bent position with one leg up, and you're going to take your right arm. If it's the other leg, you're going to take your left arm, and you're going to grab the inside of your foot and keep the elbow inside of the knee. Make sure to keep it on the inside. And what you're going to do is you're going to plant this hand down, and then you're just going to roll straight over. Okay, now that you've practiced that, and hopefully you've gotten it down pretty well, it's time to go on to the next step. Now we're going to take it a step up, and instead of starting on our knees or with one knee on the ground, we're going to start from a standing position. Don't go below 90, lean forward, and then collapse into that position that we've been working on. So you'll be here, and then go into the roll. Okay, so that's the first one. Now the second one is that some people like to do. They find it easier. It's kind of like the split leg one where one knee's on the ground. Except this time you're going to be standing up and you're going to take a step and then you're going to go into it. Okay, now that you have that down, it's time to go to the next step, and that is we're going to add more momentum into the roll, and we're going to do that by jumping. Now for this, you're definitely going to want to have your legs straight together like you will be if you're having to jump off something high. Okay, now that you've gotten the basics of the roll down, you've trained on it, you've practiced, you feel comfortable with it, it's time to test our roll. And the way we do this is by moving from soft surface to a harder surface. So move it to concrete or hardwood floor. And what we're going to do is start from a standing position and just do the exact same thing we've been doing, just go into the roll. So you're going to collapse down to your arms, roll diagonally over your shoulder, and then check to see if there are any problem points. Usually when you move from a soft surface to a harder surface, you'll find that there are points that you're hitting, maybe your hip bones or your shoulder, or maybe you're rolling too much on the spine, and you'll feel that discomfort. So check, see if there's any pain in your roll, and then correct it if there is. Okay, now that you got the basics down and you've tested out your roll, it's time to move on to the advanced technique. Now you want to start using this after you've tested it out and you've built up to about 6 feet or so. When you get to about 6 feet or higher, you want to start using this technique. I learned this from a Levi Muhlenberg tutorial, and it goes like this. It's called reverse blocking. And with this move, it's just like doing a round off to backflip, that same type of blocking, except for the opposite. So instead of blocking for height, you're blocking for distance. That means when you jump off to do a roll, you're going to angle your body forward, and when you hit the ground, you're going to perform an almost diving motion out. What this will elongate your roll, and you will distribute more downward force across this roll. That way you'll feel less impact on your body. So you want to imagine your legs are like springs, and when you hit the ground, you're going to spring directly into the roll. Okay, so that's the parkour roll tutorial. I showed you the basics and some of the advanced techniques. Just follow it step by step, go at your own pace, and just start off small and build your way up. So that was the parkour roll. Now let's just go ahead and move to the wall run. Now we're about to go over the wall run, and the wall run is definitely one of my favorite moves, just because one, of how essential it is in parkour, and two, how cool it is to actually be able to go and run up one-story buildings. I mean, once you learn this move, you'll be able to run up 8-foot walls like that. And if you get the move down really well, then you can get walls as high as twice your height. So it's definitely a really cool move, and once you're running up walls and it becomes really easy, it's just a lot of fun to do. So let's just go over the basic principles behind the wall run and how to do it, because you'll realize how simple the wall run really is, and you'll be able to do it pretty easily once we go over these things. Alright, so what the wall run is you're going to be hitting off the wall and going up a wall or a building, and some people think you're actually going to run vertically up the wall, and that's not what it is. It's really just a jump from the ground, then a jump off the wall, then grabbing up on top of the wall and going up. So this is what it will look like. You're going to jump from here, plant a foot on the wall, and then jump again up. So basically you're transferring momentum going this way into an upward direction after you hit the wall. So one of the main principles I want to talk about is the speed at which you go into the wall.